Ladies and gentlemen, SuckItUpUSA.com presents Suck It Up MMA Live. No excuses, no quit. With your hosts, positioned firmly in front of the control board, and out of the red corner, Tom McManus! Across the desk, and out of the blue corner, Larry the Professor Sheely!
Guys, we got Rory Singer from the Hardcore Gym calling in, and Rory has been with us several times. And, well, he's put several fighters on with us. This is the second time we've had Rory on. But, Rory, good having you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Well, thanks for inviting me back on, guys.
Yeah, man. So someone told me there's something big happening in Atlanta this weekend. Can you kind of share with us what's going on?
Yeah, I heard some dudes are going to be cockfighting in Atlanta to the death.
To the death.
Something called the USC.
Yeah. Human cockfights.
145, Atlanta, Georgia, the second time the UFC's come back around, and I'm excited. I've got my upper deck tickets since I'm probably just going to watch it on the big screen anyway while I'm in the arena.
That's right.
We got some great fights going on.
Yeah. Hey, Rory, when was the last time UFC was, or the first time they were in Atlanta? What year was that?
What, was it about 2 or 3 years ago or something?
Okay.
I know I went, but I honestly think it has to have been at least 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I tell you what, the press and the electricity and the excitement around this one is incredible. And so, I'm feeling it from Jacksonville, Florida, just through the media. How are things? Again, you're out of you own the Hardcore Gym, you and your brother Adam. How is it affecting you guys in Athens? How is it affecting? I know you guys train a lot in Atlanta and are in Atlanta a lot. Tell me what you guys are feeling in those parts.
So how is the UFC fight affecting us, or just how is the UFC in general?
In general, just all the hoopla of it's like the Super Bowl coming to Jacksonville, and that's the only thing I can compare it to at this point. There's so much media attention. There's so much going on. It's such a big headline fight. Let me know both. How's it affecting Athens, your school? How's the attitude in general everywhere you're going?
Well, the UFC is definitely marketing, for us in the sense that here's this giant organization that promotes what it is we do inside the Hardcore Gym, being mixed martial arts. So, and having someone on season 15 this season of The Ultimate Fighter and John Kofer coming out of the Hardcore Gym fighting this weekend. Those things definitely help people find us. People search for mixed martial arts. They're looking for UFC. They're looking for TUF type things, and they're searching on Google, and they're definitely coming across us because we are the number one mixed martial arts school in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
We produced 2 world champions and a host of other guys. We've had 4 guys make it into the house on the Ultimate Fighter. So it's definitely helped out a lot, and people are definitely excited, talking about it at the gym. Big fight, Jones and Evans, and everyone's excited.
Well, while we're talking about the Hardcore Gym, but share with us and some of the listeners, some of the guys, you mentioned a couple champions, and that's only you also got guys coming and going into the house. Share some of the names. Let's get these guys some press, because you're right. Everything I hear out of Atlanta, the Hardcore Gym, or out of Georgia, in the Southeast, you hear the Hardcore Gym a lot. So let's share with the listeners some of your fighters and the names and some of your up-and-comers as well.
Well, we obviously had, Forrest Griffin on season 1 and still a close friend, and, spent his first 6 years with us.
Forrest Griffin, that's
Brian
a name.
Bowles, another world champion in WC and UFC fighter now, and all goes well, he'll be fighting maybe in the fall. Cal Yarbrough had made it into the house. Now we have John Kofer in the house. I made it in the house. Jared Burke just fought in the CFA this weekend, big promotion down in Florida. Unfortunately lost, and learned from his loss, and he came out of it okay. But he's still a phenomenal 155er, and in my opinion, still, even though he lost, one of the top guys. Just kind of lost his head a little bit in that fight and let go of the game plan.
Yeah. Well, let's look at that too.
Boston McClure just had another great fight against Rand Weathers.
Right.
Amazing 145er. And then I've got a host of amateurs that are, doing some big things. I've got a couple of GFC champions. gentleman, Ralph Ospina, who's about to fight for a GFC title.
Excellent.
It's the Bad Manor in Athens, Georgia. They've been putting on fights about every 6 weeks or so. So, that's right in my hometown, so that's always huge, having guys go in there and smash all comers. I don't believe we've lost a fight inside there yet.
I saw some of your guys in Rome, Georgia.
Barrett fighting out of the hardcore gym. He's a big heavyweight contender, and he's got a big fight coming up for the XFC.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Let's back up a second, Rory. You mentioned, your fight, you're going to lose. Okay, if you're fighting, eventually you're going to lose. Now, I keep up with you and Adam on some of the social media things, and you guys have had a very good. I think you were right after Jared Burke's fight. You guys have a very good philosophy in how you bring your guys back after loss. It's not like if you losses happen, but I really liked what you and Adam had to say. I think you probably say it to any of your fighters, but it was, I think, directed at Jared Burke on, how you handle a loss. Could you share that with us, please?
It's about how, when Adam had mentioned on Facebook, because I had gone on there, and my sentiment was right, maybe my words weren't, but my sentiment was, you've got to be able to find success sometimes outside of wins and losses. We know that, winning is definitely the only thing when it comes to being a pro fighter. No one cares about the guy who lost. It's like with anything, a football team's only as good as their last win. When they lose, those fans want to kill them. And being a New Yorker, and being a New York fan, I know that as well as anybody, because I could be in a stadium and just hear people going after the pitcher and going after hitters. And even though the Yankees might have been in first place, at that particular day it didn't matter because they were sucking it up.
Right.
So it's about what you do, how you learn from your loss, how you learn from your failures, and then that shows your success, because when you come back to the next one and you've grown and you've matured and you've learned and you win that next fight, then you can kind of start to put that loss under the rug. People forget about, he got knocked out in his last fight, because right now all that's in front of them is the fact that you just smashed someone and you came back from that loss.
Right.
Now no one really cares about the loss, because now you're back up on top.
Yep.
And that's just how it works. Brian won the title from Miguel Torres, lost it, to Dominic Cruz, came back and beat Mitsugaki, unfortunately lost it again, and it's going to be, okay, well, and lost again, to Faber. His championship status is going to be tested again, when he gets back in that, that cage and fights again. Does he go on a 2-fight lose streak, or does he just start to distance himself from that loss? And that's a big part of it. And we're always supportive of our guys' wins and loses. We love them, and we're there for them, and we're proud of the effort that they put in, because there is so much that goes into fighting. It's unfortunate that winning is really the most important thing, but as a coach, I love my guys for all the effort and all the hard work they put in the gym to get to the point where they can even have that fight in the first place. Right.
And, that's the key in the fight game, and Tom says this all the time, I totally agree, is, you guys are kind of a microcosm of what everyone's dealing in their lives. We have wins, we have losses. You can't win them all, but it's not what happens, it's how you deal with it. And from what I'm seeing, Rory, you and Adam and your fighters, you got a good program going. You're molding young champions, but not only in the cage, but let's kind of shift over a little bit to your gym, the hardcore gym. You guys have had tremendous success with the average people, because everyone's not going to want to get in the ring, do martial arts, get in the ring and fight. But you guys got a really good hold there, but you're also doing very well in the, just say the average Joe market. How do you approach a person who, wants to train, who wants to, everyone thinks they want to be a UFC fighter or MMA fighter until they get hit in the face. And I happen to be one of those. But how do you, you and Adam, how do you appeal to the people who just want to be a part of this, and to just share with me your mindset on how you deal with those guys, how you get them in the gym, and what you do with them once you get them there?
Well, a lot of that credit's got to go to Adam. He's just, over the years, done an amazing job at being able to put together a program where, like like last night, for instance, I taught a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. It's called our hardcore athlete program. It's our elite-level class.
Right.
And I have, hobbyists on the mat that are, 30-plus and 40 years old, fathers and business owners, training alongside of pro fighters and amateur fighters, some of the top guys in the region. And it's because the way they've been brought up is in a system where they can take those baby steps, and in an environment where, although guys are working hard,
Right.
we have really fostered a community and a family where there are really no dicks that train, and I apologize for cursing on radio, but there are no people like that don't really exist in my gym.
Yeah,
And I believe
they're
that
dicks.
comes down from Adam and myself and the years we've been doing this, and we've always just been lucky enough to surround ourselves with good people that care about the other people that are on the mat with them and just train hard. And, if guys are getting ready for a fight, then they stick with their training partners that are going to push them. And,
Right.
But if they're not, then I can have, Brian Bowles training with one of my 40-year-old guys, Patrick, who, owns his own business, and he's a family man, and he got his purple belt not too long ago, and he's been with me for like 4 or 5 years. And and they can both get a great workout and both have a good time, and they're both learning and getting better because of having each other in the room.
Yeah, so Rory, you got basically the best of both worlds, and my entire school is built more on the professionals, kind of like you were talking about. As a matter of fact, sitting with me today as my co-host while Tom's out is Mark Dilworth. He's a guy who's been with me since 2002. He's a black belt. He's in his early 40s and just a great professional guy. So I'm going to introduce him to you. And
Hey, Rory, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm doing real well. Thanks for joining us. I do have a question for you. Thinking back, as you were entering the ring to fight, and your level of nerves, was your level of nervousness with respect to you entering the ring and fighting greater, or is it greater when somebody like John is about to enter the ring as one of your students and one of your fighters? Where do you find kind of that heartbeat being higher? Was it when you were in the ring, or when one of your students are about to fight?
When I first started, my nerve, before I really had the kind of gym we have now, then my nerves were as high as anything. And at some point in time, as I got along in my professional career and actually lost a fight that I could have won, but I went into it so nervous about the opponent and my belief that maybe I wasn't ready to fight him because he was a black belt. And that was kind of like the last time that I truly got nervous before a fight. I mean, I went to Japan and fought Daijiro Matsui on 8 days' notice, and
wow.
the guys that I was with when I was out there, they were all amazed that right before I went out, I was kind of yawning because I don't get nervous anymore. Now, when my guys are fighting, and especially John on Friday, having not had an opportunity to train him, not had an opportunity to talk to him and make sure that I know where he's at mentally and make sure that he knows that he can beat anybody if he follows the proper game plan and executes what he does well. And I'm not going to say what that is in case there's spying ears. I was on the phone with one of them last night in Irvin trying to get some stuff out of me. told him John was a butt scooter. But I get super nervous when my guys are fighting because here I am on the outside and there's nothing I can do. I have no control over that situation. It's like when my son is crying and, all I can do is try and soothe him. There's nothing I can do about it. It causes me to sweat and just get so uncomfortable because I'm helpless to do anything. In the cage, in the ring, and it's me on my own, I know that if I trained hard and I did everything that was necessary to get to that point, then I'm going to win. It doesn't always happen, but I have that confidence. My guys fight, I can only hope that I have done what is necessary and they have done what is necessary. But when I get in there, I can't fight that fight for them, and as much as I want to in my head to be in there helping them, it makes me super nervous. I mean, to the point Adam doesn't hardly even watch the fights. I corner all my guys for the most part, especially my pros, and he's usually, if he's at the event, he's usually somewhere else when the guys are fighting, waiting for a text message, win or loss, because he can't handle it.
So you're like the Papa Bear, and he's like Mama doesn't want to watch. Sorry, Adam, don't hold that against me. But you know what you said, Rory, and it reminds me of the guys at my school. You know, I have kids. I have 3 kids of my own. I got a 22, a 20, and a 5. But I tell you what, I actually have what I feel like is about 200 kids, so to speak, because you get so close to your students. And I think jiu-jitsu is even more special than that because you're real close with them. But you do feel like they're your own, and you feel the pain that they feel. And so I can kind of relate to you. And what you're saying is, you consoling your child if they're crying. There's nothing you can do. You're outside the ring. So I kind of feel that way sometimes with my guys who compete or my guys who are just – come in my office sometimes just wanting to talk about something. I feel kind of like the father figure, and there's rare cases.
Without a doubt, especially because usually the guys who are competing for you are guys that have been with you for a long period of time, and
right.
They get to that level. You get to that level with them where you're training together, and you're punching each other, and you're bleeding, and you're hurting, and you're traveling, and you're doing all these things, and there's a bond that grows as just like with any friendship with people that have been around you longer, the longest. But then you share that sporting aspect with them, when you're basically punching each other, beating each other up.
Right.
It just grows a bond that really nothing else can. And then they go out there and they fight, they win, they lose. You share the triumphs, and you hurt in their defeats because part of you has to hold some responsibility for that as their coach.
Right.
That maybe you didn't prepare them properly, and sometimes you did, and they're going to lose anyway, and you're still going to feel the guilt of it because maybe you could have done something else. You could have given them something different in the corner to keep them level-headed and keep them on point and keep them on, on their game plan. And now I'm dealing with that with even my younger kids because my kids' program is growing, and those kids are competing at Nagas and stuff, and they're not always going to win. And then I'm dealing with having to, console them and hug them and try and let them know that, you did great and we'll do better next time. And,
exactly.
And it can be heart-wrenching at times.
Rory, and that's exactly why I brought up that question. It's funny because I've competed a decent amount, and when my son, who's 10, started competing when he was 8, it was a whole different level. It was, watching him versus being on the mat, 2 different things, and much more nervous watching him do it than I ever was about getting on the mat. So that's why I brought it up. But let me ask you another question, too. You've obviously reached a high level in this sport. Did you ever work and reaching that level, reaching that level requires a strong mindset. Did you ever work with a sports psychologist, or do any of your guys work with a sports psychologist? And if they do, how does it help?
We don't, and I'll be honest, that I think that's missing for a lot of fighters. I actually, on a personal level, one of my old boxing coach was a clinical psychologist, and we actually spent some time together doing some sessions, and I think it helped me tremendously to try to get my head right, because I wasn't always neck up. I wasn't always where I needed to be. I had the skills, the abilities, but I didn't always have the right mentality. And it wasn't until I got a little bit further in my career and maybe I started losing some of my own attributes that I kind of got my head right, but then my body wasn't really where it needed to be to compete with guys on a high level who were half my age. I went out and did well against Brian Baker, but I lost that fight. And that was a guy who was almost half my age. And then I got a little bit older, and my head was right when I fought some of these guys, but my body was not necessarily where it needed to be. So I've got guys that probably could use that, and I think that there's definitely something to be said for about speaking with someone who can help you to understand what your fears are, what your concerns are, what are the things that are holding you back. So you don't become that pitcher or that catcher who can't throw the ball back to the pitcher.
Right.
And your whole career goes out the window because you can't just do a simple task of throwing the ball back.
There you go.
I think there should be more of that in this sport, but there's not always the money that a guy can go and speak with someone. Tiger Woods has an issue with his golf stroke. he's a $100 million guy. He can afford to go to a psychologist, sports psychologist. There's not enough money sometimes in these lower levels where the guys can use it the most to be able to even go seek out that kind of help.
Right.
Understood.
We're with Rory Singer of the Hardcore Gym out of Athens, Georgia. Rory, I want to shift gears a little bit. If someone wants to train at the Hardcore Gym, how do they get in touch with you guys?
They can visit, our website at thehardcoregym.com, Athens Fitness and MMA. They can go to Athens MMA, Athens BJJ. They can just search us out in the yellow pages online or on a phone book. I mean, if you want to find us, then just type in the Hardcore Gym and you'll find us. And
Awesome.
come in for a tour, a free private lesson. We offer 30 days free and a 60-day money-back guarantee. I mean, we've got great programs from 4 years old and up. I've got 50-year-old guys training with me now. I had a 400-pounder help lose like 40 pounds in 2 months. We're doing some great things. We've got a women-only boot camp program starting up in like the next month.
Beautiful.
We've got a lot of great programs for everybody. Men, women, children. Just got to find us and come in and train with us. But before you do let me go,
No, I'm not letting you go. I'm shifting gears. We're going to go. We're going to go
We
back.
want to talk about UFC, and
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about my man Marcus Brimage,
Absolutely.
who's not one of my fighters, but I do manage him. My management company, Mammoth Sports and Entertainment. He's going to set the tone. He trains at ATT right now in Florida. Does a lot of training with Charles McCarthy. A lot of training out of Spartan Fitness in Birmingham with Chris Connolly and Tommy Elliott. And it's his second fight in UFC after being on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter. And I think he's going to go out there and he's going to smash the black belt and expect to win.
That's great. Yeah, it's great. We're excited. I want to talk about a lot of the fights here, Rory. We're excited with the Suck It Up Radio Network. We're going to be heading up on Thursday. We're going to do our show, Friday morning, head up from there. So I look forward to seeing some of you guys. Let's talk about a few of the other fights. Obviously, the Jones-Evans fight's the biggie. But you've seen the lineup. What are some of the fights that you think are going to be kind of the not take from the main attraction, but really add to this fight card? Which ones are you looking forward to seeing?
I'm going to have to pull that fight card up just so it's fresh in my head.
Hey, you got, Schaub and Rothwell. You got Torres and McDonald. Those are as we work our way up. Bosek and Alessio, right?
Where the heck is this fight card? I obviously,
okay.
There we go. Obviously, Jones-Evans going to be tremendous. I want to give the edge to Jones just because he's there right now. He's got the belts. But the Evans I saw fight the other, in his last fight, that's a Rashad Evans that could probably beat just about anybody.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm going with Jones, but the closer we get to the fight with all this controversy, Evans you can't count out. But I'm going to go with Jones. Roy, you're going with Jones or Evans? Did you say?
You know what? I want to go with Evans only because that's the guy that beat Forrest. So I want to root for the guy that beat Forrest to become the champion.
Right.
But it's so I'm going to say Evans. I might be wrong, but I'm going to go with Evans.
Okay, you're with Evans. Okay, well I'll bet you a soda on that one. All right. Soda and whatever. Mark, how about you, buddy?
John Jones.
John Jones. Okay, so how about the who's it? Rory McDonald and what's it? Shea Mills. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name.
I'm not too familiar with Mills, but McDonald's good. He's impressed me in his fights, and he's tough, and he's young, and he's athletic, and I honestly don't know anything really about Mills. I'm going to go McDonald.
I am too. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, McDonald.
McDonald, okay. That's clean sweep. What's the next one you see? Is it Mac Danzig and Efren Escuderio?
I'll go Danzig.
Danzig? I'm going Escuderio. He fights out of another friend's camp, so I got to go with that. He fights out of the MMA lab under John Crouch, so got to go with him. How about you, Mark?
I'll go with Danzig.
Danzig, okay. So I'm going to beat both of you guys on that one. Josh McDonald? Is that what I'm saying? Or McDessick? I don't know either of these two guys. I apologize for that. Matt Brown and Stephen Thompson.
Yep. I've got to go with the Wonder Boy. He's a Southeast local. I've seen him fight on cards before locally. It comes out of a gym, a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine. So, and he's took that fight on short notice in his first fight and did well. And I'd like to see him win. So I'm going to go Thompson. Whether or not he can win, I think he can. I think he's got some good stand-up, does some different things, and has been training his ground pretty religiously. And I think he's been spending some time down at ATT in Morton Beach with Charles McCarthy as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Thompson.
I'm going with Thompson myself. How about you, Mark?
I'll go with Brown.
I'm going with Brown. Well, I'm taking Roy's word on that one. Okay, who else do we have? Mark Bosick and the lesser?
Rothwell.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about what do you think? Schaub Bothwell.
Rothwell is definitely the seasoned veteran of the two of them, but I'm going to go, and I trained with him a long time ago back in the day, but I'm going to go Schaub.
Yep, likewise. Mark?
Yeah, I'll go with Schaub too there.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
Torres McDonald? Roy?
I'm going to go.
I know what you're going to say, I think.
I would like to see Torres get back on track and become the fighter that everyone believed he was and he believes he is, and find himself again. And I'm going to go Torres.
Okay, so I'm with Torres myself.
As am I.
All right, very good. And Mark Hominick, that'll be a good one. Hominick and Yagan.
I got Hominick.
Yep, same here.
Hominick.
All right. Well, that's did I miss them? I think I got them all. What we'll do.
Bocek and Alessio, and I would go Bocek.
Yep. The wrestler, right? He's
tough. Man. He's good.
But he's got a big, strong wrestling base too, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going Bocek.
Ditto.
Okay, very good. Okay, now let's get to the main event itself. We've made our picks on who we'll think. Now, how much of this, Roy? Again, you've been in the ring. You've done things we haven't done. You understand the game more than most. You're really plugged in. How much of this, all the hoopla between Jones getting the sponsorship from UFC and the Jackson Camp saga that's been going on, how much of that animosity is going to be brought into the ring, and how will it affect each or both of these fighters?
Well, if they are the consummate professionals that they claim to be or need to be, then they shouldn't bring any of it into the cage of the ring, because the emotional part of all this needs to be left out.
Right.
I mean, it's the type of emotion that they both have for or an animosity or whatever it is that they have for one another, that if they allow themselves to fight with that, it can be to their detriment. It's on it can fuel them and heat them to fight hard, but if they let it take a hold of them, then they might lose track of the game plan that they have, and the fact that it is a 5-round fight, and there needs to be some pacing and whatnot. So, but do I believe that it can cause some issues, and it can be brought into that cage without a doubt, but it needs to be left out. Now, I don't want to go on record as to my thoughts that the about the UFC sponsoring one of its fighters, so I'm going to stay away from that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But I got to imagine that hurts Evans. I got to imagine that maybe that's hurt a lot of the guys that are in the organization. But he can't let any of that affect him. He has to go in there with a singular task of, I need to kick John Jones's butt, and this is what I've trained for the last 12, 16, 18 weeks, whatever it's been, and that's the only thought he has to have and needs to have, because that's the only thing that there is for him to do Saturday night is fight Jones, not fight UFC, not fight Greg Jackson or deal with any other nonsense that's going around this, any other circus type stuff.
Right.
He has to do 25 minutes, and that's beat John Jones, and that's it.
Right. Now, Rory, again, you and Adam, you manage some fighters. You got champions, and past champions, future champions, and current champions. Let me ask you this. The decision that Greg Jackson had to make, I can only imagine. You got 2 kids, basically, like we talked about before. How tough was that decision, you think, for him to make with leaving or Evans leaving him? Getting some feedback here. Sorry about that. How tough was that decision, you think, for Greg Jackson in picking John Jones over someone else? That's it. Turn it up a little bit. Turn it up.
I mean, I can only imagine it was super tough. I mean, you're asking a coach who coached one fighter for a long period of time and helped him to attain a level, and there was a friendship and a relationship there.
Right.
And, yes, feelings were hurt from what I understand, but it still can't be easy to it won't be easy for him Saturday night to look across that cage
right.
and know that he has done everything in his power to make sure that his fighter that's with him
right.
beats the hell out of the fighter that used to be with him. And that I definitely don't envy him that at all. Having to put together a game plan, knowing what some of Rashad, well, not some of, but knowing what Rashad's strengths and weaknesses are, having had him for years, and to basically put together, it's almost like you worked for one army and then you turn to go work, to be in somebody else's army, and you're giving up all their secrets to try and defeat that army. And that's sort of where he is right now.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate situation, but I commend him, though, for deciding to actually work his corner, because to train Jones and to get him ready and then to cop out and say, but I'm not going to work his corner because blah, 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 blah. You know what? Man
right.
the hell up. And I'm glad that he did.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what he should have done. Jones is his fighter and Rashad left. For whatever reasons, it doesn't matter. Work your fighter's corner.
Very good.
So
Very good.
deal with what that's going to do to you, because your fighter needs you and you need to be there for him. And I commend him for that.
Very good.
Rory, it'd be interesting to know when those two sparred with each other in the same camp, kind of who held the upper edge. And if there was one guy that held the upper edge, how much would that transfer over to Saturday night with the guy that had the upper edge, kind of mentally thinking, I owned you in sparring. How's that going to transfer out Saturday night?
I lost you there for a little bit. Just ask me that again, please.
What I said was, what would be interesting to know is when they were working out together at the same camp, who had the upper hand in those sparring sessions? And if there was clearly one guy that had the upper hand in those sparring sessions, how much does that transfer over to Saturday night when they both get into the ring? And how much are they thinking, hey, I had the upper hand on you in training, and it's not going to be any different in the ring tonight?
And I wish we knew what the true answer for that was. You hear Evans say this, and then you hear Jones say, yeah, you held me down for 30 seconds, and blah, blah, blah. So I wonder. But they haven't trained together for a while, and if they are both good fighters, then they have both grown. And, does it matter if Rashad had a little bit of upper hand, or does it matter if Jones did? They're not training together anymore. None of that should matter anymore. It's just the nonsense that comes with the trash talk before a fight. I made you my son. No, I made you my son. And blah, blah, blah.
Same old thing.
None of that matters, because they're not the same fighters they were when they were training together, and they haven't trained together for a while. So they're just going to have to prove it come Saturday.
That's why they put him in the cage. So, Rory, thanks a bunch for your time, buddy. We're going to wrap this one up. Hope to see you in Atlanta. We're like I said, getting in there Friday. I know you're going to be busy, but love to get you guys on some film and audio, out and about somewhere. But, again, I'll try to look you up. Good luck to your fighters, and if you see us, track us down, my friend, and say hey to Adam for me too, buddy. Okay, buddy. Take care. We'll talk to you this weekend.
I'll see y'all soon, I hope.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This has been a production of SuckItUpUSA.com and EIGProductions.com. Heard exclusively on the Suck It Up Radio Network.